Thank organizers and the World Academy of Medical Sciences for the invite to be part of this event. What I'll be talking about is something that I do on my regular practice there in Mexico. My medical development is in Mexico City and all the cities within Mexico. But I'm part of a very important project and a very important laboratory in the US. Even though that we are a small laboratory, we are isolating one of the best polypeptides that we could ever have in this so far in this biopharmaceutical development within the industry, the medical industry, and I'm so glad to be part of it. I'm a general surgeon, but I moved into the regenerative, and I started on the functional medicine, but then I turned it into the regenerative medicine medical practices. I use different methods, which are some of the ones that I will show you on the presentation. And the main thing about this is the combination of the things we're doing. We are using different biological tools and also different biometrics and also different biotechnological tools as well to improve people's life. The reason why I called it the regenerative system is not related to what Professor Karin just mentioned about, because those systems are even more complex than I will show you. This is more like an ordinary kind of system, because we believe, at the end of the talk I will get into it, we believe that we can target not only to restore the function of those who are having a special need, but also we're claiming to target, or we're targeting, and because of our claiming to help on those epigenetic factors that are causing a lot of bad effects or side effects on the human population itself. Pollution, different types of diseases, chronic diseases, immune diseases, whatever you name it, it comes to human DNA. So I'll show you why. The system so far, and that the medical case I will presenting to you here, is meant to be according to these three principles that we use in the medical practice. We're targeting right now to the no-option patients using a compassionate clinical development, and obviously we're targeting, because of that, a lot of the medical tourism we can get from different countries. Patients from the US, from South America, even from Cuba, and also from Europe are coming to get their treatment performed in Mexico. Okay, I will show you about how complex it could be, but how simple we're making it so far. This is where we're working right now, combinatorial biologics. Especially because, as I said to you, I belong to BioQuark as the clinical developer for BioQuark. I am designing the protocols that uses bioquantum. Bioquantum is a polypeptide that was designed and was isolated from the Nobel Prize winners back in 2012, Dr. Yamanaka and Dr. Gordon, who developed and proved and showed how mRNA can claim or can target the human DNA, because as we know, that's the only way the mRNA can be transferring the information from DNA to target different new cells develop, right? We all know that. But this specific polypeptide can be used to repair those affected genes or those affected proteins within the cells. So that is the principle we use in our polypeptide to be delivered on different methods, but mainly, once again, to those no-option patients. As no-option patients, we understand a lot of the patients who are suffering different diseases. You can name whatever chronic disease is. There's going to be a stage where those patients will be no option. They will become no-option patients because nothing will be, able to help them to improve their quality of life, right? So we all know that, but if we go not only to get to try to fix what is wrong, instead of that to prevent it, more than just become organic or become natural. I mean, everything, as Dr. Karina has mentioned, it's been affected and we're continuously mutating. So we can stop that, right? But we can target to repair those affected cells within the DNA. This is part of what bioquantum could be targeting to do. Once again, from the very molecular size to reprogramming the human DNA to be targeting the different organelles and different, obviously, the cell by itself, and it goes to different tissues and for itself. I mean, at the end of the day, we'll be getting and targeting the whole human environment. As we believe through this research, different researchers that have been completed and showed how the cells can be reprogrammed by using bioquantum as well. We will show you how it could be combined with different other biological derivative products that can be helping a lot of people. Obviously, we will be repairing and reconstituting the function of the body, and everything is based on our scientific chief officer discovery. Dr. Sergey Pailan is the one who isolates bioquantum in the US. Our headquarters are in Philadelphia, and our laboratory is in Tampa, Florida. Once again, the beauty about this isolated polypeptide that it comes from a specific amphibian species. This species related to a South African frog that can repair, regrow, and reprogram the cells. I mean, from the neural tissue to the skin tissue. Okay, all the different tissues that can be repaired and reprogrammed through it. This is the amazing part of this isolation that we're getting through these oocytes from this specific frog. Its name is Xenopus levis, and it was well described by Dr. Jamanek and Dr. Gurdon. And I'm mentioning that because that's very important. This is not something, a magic stuff that we are just providing to different people who are needy. No, we're targeting those patients with a very specific method based on science. As I mentioned, we're using different protocols and therapies to regenerate patients' function. So far, we're working on evidence-based medicine and also precise and personalized medicine, because this is not a general dose that can be given to patients. It comes from every time they respond according to the protocol. We're giving a dose response dose. Okay, so we're not claiming to give just a standard dose. This is a paper that was published not too long ago because they got really interested in the case that we showed the improvement on the functionality of this patient. I will call my patient by name. His name is Omar, and he's improving a lot. He has improved a lot. We went from the very basic stuff, a very basic scale, which is well known by the orthopedic surgeons, which is Asia. Okay, Asia A was our case. This is Omar. I don't know if you can see here. He got a luxated and fractured T12 L1, and he got the totally sectioned spinal cord injury. His prognosis after the surgery, as you can see the bars here to stabilize the spine, his prognosis was not able to feel, to move, to have any other regular function. He came to me 2 months after he suffered this accident. He fell from a third floor. He got this very bad accident. So his prognosis was totally bad. I mean, according to the given medical treatment he got before he came into us. Well, we had to design a special protocol divided into so far 3 phases. The first phase was to regenerate the cells, save as much as we could from within, from the spinal cord injury where it was located, and to reprogram somehow the cell to make a memory to regrow again, as the Xenopus levis do, okay, the frog. There, it is a special performance we did. The beauty about the different biological derivatives we're using comes that it can be combined with even different items, let's say it that way. We used the neurostimulator made by Medtronic that is well known through the literature or through different researchers. After a lot of researching papers, that it helps to connect and stimulate the connection within the spine. Okay, the spinal cord persons or people that suffer some kind of injury, they could get this kind of methods performed. The neurostimulator. But the beauty about this and that was, it has been causing a lot of impact is that we are combining different methods, which is we're not only claiming to the benefit of specific, mesenchymal stem cells or bioquantin or a Medtronic device. These devices are made, the Medtronic devices are made to these kind of patients. But we thought, and that was the protocol design, to be on phase 1, especially to regenerate those affected cells in that tissue. We know that in countries like India, there are plenty of paperwork that shows, they show a lot of improvement using mesenchymal stem cells. But normally when they have not totally sectioned spinal cord injuries. And it's been published there, a lot of papers there, but in this case was a total section spinal cord injury. So according to science and medical development so far, we didn't have an option with this patient, okay? We went on phase 1 with a very well evidence of recovery from this patient. He went from Asia A to Asia B, which is really well. And it's kind of amazing in terms that he only got into it a couple of months after. Normally, after rehab, after different methods and treatments, patients get to that after a year or a year and a half. Okay, when they can start to feel, when they can start to improve their condition somehow, but normally it takes longer. The beauty about this is that we also created in phase 2, when we got this neurostimulator within the intrathecal pathway, we got, on phase 2, as I said to you, when we were using this Medtronic device, we got a very well improvement in patient. So that's when we decided to connect or reconnect again the cells to start getting a better improvement, stimulating through the electricity that these electrodes can cause within the patient, the stimulation of getting back to the normal function, right? So before we got into that, once again, we divided it in the phase 1 recovery or regeneration, phase 2 stimulation, and now we're in the phase 3, which is the reprogramming phase. This is Omar. This is a unique case in the world, I guess. As you can see here, I don't know if you can see this, the little dots here, but the little electrodes here. Those are the electrodes that are within his intrathecal pathway. This is the control. This is Omar after the surgery. Actually, it's a minor procedure. It goes only through the subcutaneous tissue, and it comes within the, once again, we got to do it with a special device, and I'll show you my medical team after. But a palliative specialist doctor is doing this, okay? Not everyone can do it. Some guys are trained to do this. Instead of performing another surgery again, that may damage the spinal cord, again, we do it just percutaneous. That's what we use. And the beauty about this as well is that everything comes to or became ambulatory procedures. We started with phase 1 in hospital, more expensive, more days within the hospital. Obviously, we were a lot of doctors around, and as I said, the medical expenses went higher. On the different stages of the protocol, it came everything became ambulatory, cheaper, safer, cleaner, and you're gonna get to see how we work. After I told you all of this, once again, evidence-based medicine. No one that knows about HIA classification can tell that this patient became in less than a year and a half. There have been only 16 months to have this improvement, okay? I'll show you these videos once again because it's an evidence-based medicine. So this is particular case that I was meant to be given to you is how it's been getting the outcome so far. This is Dr. Ismael, part of the medical team, who is performing the surgery, the minor surgery to get the electrodes within, okay, the Medtronic electrodes. This is Omar nowadays. This is his latest improvement, like a few weeks ago. As you can see, obviously someone is holding him just a little bit, not putting a lot of strength when he's holding him, but he's moving his feet. He's walking on his knees right now. An HIV patient couldn't be doing something like this, ever.
Amazing.
Omar is, a part of a role model patient who believed in this regenerative reprogramming medicine that became really famous. In Mexico, he's related to a lot of actors and actresses, and they claim a funding campaign to help him to get the funding to pay for his treatment. He's barely, supporting him. That's a physical or rehab trainer. We have a lot of videos that are showing Omar when he had his very atrophic legs, a lot of, from the beginning. We got a lot of videos showing how he started to move the legs, but now he's doing that, walking on his knees after the procedure we got into him. That's with the trainer, right? That's with the rehab person who's helping him. This is by himself.
How's he doing that?
Those are recent videos.
Those were recorded a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, okay. I thought it was old.
Yeah. As you can see, the muscle mass there is getting back to his both legs. And he's moving his leg without any other stimulation or any other help. He's controlling the movement. He's controlling now the smooth muscle cells as well. He feels the peristalsis. He knows when he has to go to the bathroom because he feels it. And he also is urinating by himself, which is amazing. We're not only recovering the function of the spinal cord, but also giving, again, the stimulation for the whole nerve system. Obviously, there are a lot of things and gaps that we need to bring on to, biometrics and a lot of different proofs that we need to as well combine and attach to this protocol. But the success about this is the combination. Once again, putting all the pieces together to get the puzzle on a better development itself with all the sources that we have so far. Actually, every time that I get invited to different conferences, I claim or I ask for people to help to bring more options to these kind of patients. There are a lot of patients around the world without option. You can name it. cancer patients or patients who are suffering very chronic autoimmune disease, or patients who've got a lot of this spinal cord injuries or traumatic brain injuries. This case that I will show is about a kid that was, he's a patient who suffers cerebral palsy. The beauty about this is that he suffered for more than 11 years with a lot of different crises, seizures, spastic crisis, as you will see there, and he was at the ER every single third day or fifth day. That quality of life is such, very, very poor quality of life. All the family supporting him, and obviously they got the sources to get a lot of things performed to him. But when they got to see the exposure we got in CNN Espanol, I don't know if you got to know that Spanish is one of the most spoken languages in the world, so we got an international exposure because there was a project that we named RegenerAge, and that was launched 2.5 years ago, actually in India. So from that moment where we got this exposure, international exposure, I was given the news that our medical protocol was firstly approved in India, then due to some ethical problems they found there, so we couldn't follow the protocol we designed to do there in India. Actually, Dr. Himanshu Bansal was the pioneer in that protocol. So I had to switch the protocol to make it safer. Why? Because patients who are suffering brain death that were claimed to be the patients on that protocol, obviously it brings a lot of controversy. Some ethical problems, ethical issues, not only within the medical team but also the family. So I had to turn it into those no-option patients who are alive and also have some functions, right? Braulio was 11 years old when I met him, and Braulio suffered, as I said to you, seizures and spastic crisis every third or fifth day. We started giving him bioquantum by different protocols that I designed, and you'll see how his life was, and how his family suffered every third or fifth day. So he had to live under sedation every third or fifth day. Even though that he was taking special medicine for it, he suffered that. Due to a medical malpractice, he got into this condition. Okay? So he suffered for more than 10 years with this. I don't know if you can listen to the breathing. Maybe you don't. So that was a very poor quality of life, for not only for him, but also for his family. After we treated him, he started to control himself more, his movements, and his reaction to everything around him. Okay? The one that is speaking there or talking there is his mom. And he has been improving quite a lot after we started with the treatment. Obviously, we did not get back all of his functions. Okay, yeah, okay. Well, anyway, so obviously we didn't get him the total recovery from something that happened long time ago, but his improvement is great in terms of functionality. He suffered a lot of diseases, upper and lower respiratory tract diseases, because they live in Chicago, very cold place. He also suffered a lot of allergic reactions to anything, and he suffered a lot of other things that we could help to get rid of. I had even to go to the Rehab Institute in Chicago to talk to their doctors. And everything comes to this part as well. Not only those no option patients, but as I said, we're targeting to that specific huge part, which is the epigenetic factors. Okay, those factors are well known. And before I continue with it, I just want to introduce you to the team. Sergey is the one who's isolating bioquantum. Ira is BioQuark CEO, a really good friend of mine and also my business partner. Then me, and obviously Alex, that you guys get to see. Is my business partner as well. And the rest of the guys are part of the medical development. Dr. Karindas is giving us a really good chance and exposure as well to be part of the World Academy of Medical Sciences, which is something amazing to us because we are supported by a scientific academy. Not only claiming to do miracles, because we don't do miracles, only God. We're doing our job. That's what we're doing, okay? And Dr. Efren, Dr. Ismail, Dr. Ponce, and Benjamin, my brother. This is a very important part because he is leading the legal development for these medical practices as well. Obviously, we're doing some experimental treatments with those patients. Why? Because there are a lot of, it's a long way to go and to follow, to claim or to be targeting specifically to certain diseases. And we all know how big pharma works. We're using a biopharmaceutical product, which is not the same as a synthetic or different chemical compound. So the phases of that for the trials should be different, but so far we need to follow those trials, and obviously those trials cost millions and millions of dollars, dozens of millions of dollars. So from the moment we got this experimental treatments, we got into this no option patients, and I'm just telling you about it again because those no option patients, according to the law of different countries, could have an option in this kind of medical treatments, but you need to manage the law according to their needs. So it's very important, and what we're working with them or working on these cases it's known as a legal shelter that the lawyer is creating to get these treatments performed without any restriction. Obviously, we're also getting into the human rights for those no option patients. I mean, they want to improve their life, right? So they got the right to do it. Mainly every country. I don't know the legislations or the medical rules for different countries, but in Mexico, on the private sector, we can do it. Actually, that's why we went from in-hospital treatments to ambulatory procedures. Those procedures were created to reduce the risk of a patient, the cost, but also for letting go a couple of hours after we perform the procedure back to his place. We use a special hand pump, as you saw there, and it's draining the substances through the spinal cord. I mean, 0.2 or 0.4 ml per hour. So the patient will be done with the bioquantin and the mesenchymal stem cells after 3 days or no longer than 5 days. We have treated patients from overseas who they can get back to their hotel without any problems. So they may experience some mild fever, chills, some headache, but that's it. Nothing else. We haven't got any side effects so far. We haven't got any anaphylactic reaction. We haven't got any allergy before. After that, and before that, obviously we have to create a sensibility for those patients who are using it. Okay? This is part of our backup, the World Academy of Medical Sciences. Obviously, we need to develop a lot of medical research on this. We have a lot of connections. And this is the part, obviously, this is more the commercial and development and the commercial part of the company. because we are trying, we will be targeting to help a lot of people through this science discovery. Why? Because the beauty about bioquantum is that we can mix it with different ingredients, and it will remain being as a biological derivative product. So we design the skincare products. We are about to design the nutrition market products as well. Superfoods. You have heard about superfoods. Well, we can name it ultrafoods because it will contain something that will be targeting specifically to prevent those epigenetic factors that can cause the damage within the DNA. And drinks. Yeah, we did not mention that, but the drinks are about to come as well. We do believe that we can help a lot of people through prevention, smart prevention, but it's a lifestyle. That's what we call it, the system. We can come from the very basic stuff, which is to put some cream on every single morning or every single night, to drink a smart drink, but also that will contain something very unique and powerful within, which is glycogen, this polypeptide that can help them to prevent the superfoods that can be also taken every single day, and obviously to get to the medical cosmetic procedures and those no option patients procedures. There is a huge amount of diseases around the world, and no one of them has a cure. You name it. Everything got affected on the DNA, and you guys know more about that than I do. But we can prevent it through something really, really important, because we have been proven that those no option patients can be helped using and combining these methods. So obviously we can do it before they got into it. So basically that's my presentation about. I really would like to thank you, and it's been my pleasure to be here. Any question?
Dr. Osorio? Thank you for your marvelous presentation, but I have a lot of questions for you.
Yes.
First, how your medication work? What is the mechanism of this medication?
Once again, it's an mRNA, so the genetic codes get transferred from DNA. That's where we're claiming, at the end of the day, proteins get broken, right? When it replies itself, every time the replication comes. So that's when a decodified DNA could start a disease, right? We're claiming, this Sergei Pavlian could be telling you more about this, and you can look up for his papers as well. But mainly, it repairs and seals, let's say that way, the DNA by the protection it comes, because our protein is claiming to be on those membranes, affected membranes within the proteins. So every time it will be replicating, you may develop or not a disease. So in that gap, in that junction is where bioquantum is going to act. So far, once again, we need a lot of biomarkers and a lot of testing to prove and to show and all that all the work that bioquantum is doing. If you could ask, okay, what if the mesenchymal stem cells are not giving this outcome so far, or the neurostimulator? It's been a combination of all, definitely. And the three of them have been working on the patients. But we cannot claim so far which is the one that is bringing this in the best way that we could measure in terms of to tell you, okay, this is the mechanism that it goes through. We know that from the beginning because we went to phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 in mammals models. It's been proven there that it helps to repair the traumatic brain injury, and different tissues. It's published. So from that moment when we launched this project, we went to the experimental development. So there is a lot of things that we need to be clear about that, but we know the biopharmaceutical product is targeting the specific cells within the brain because that's what it does. This polypeptide does in those frogs that I mentioned.
The second, how you apply your medication?
Sorry?
How you apply your medication? By injection or what?
Yes, percutaneous. Everything. Everything we have designed so far is subcutaneous, intramuscular, and intrathecal.
Intrathecal.
Yeah, intrathecal. That's why we use the hand pump.
What is the duration of treatment?
The performance of it, just a couple of hours. We use a specific fluoroscope room, and it takes just a couple of hours for patients to come, get in, and then go out. And the release of it is a slow release for 72 up to 5 days, 72 hours to up to 5 days. But so far, those are the only pathways we have created on the products.
This medication is now available in the commerce for
Not yet.
not yet.
Not yet. Not yet. And this is brand new. And even though that we are a small laboratory, we have a tremendous potential to develop
This
a
is
lot.
still under trial.
We will create different trials, but we need to show. I mean, not only this result of this patient, but we need to show something that won't be causing any kind of not injury, but we cannot start giving injections for patients. For example, we need to prove on the topical development. I mean, for dermis and epidermis and all the connective tissue to show how it works. Actually, it's been proven on mammals models, as I said to you. But also by a specific trial we will start doing next year in Mexico, not in the US, because we have third parties authorized, as you guys have in India, to be proven that it works and to be FDA approved for a certain time. So we're targeting to do a specific trial, non-invasive for patients who will need that, and from that moment we will create a lot of different protocols and trials to improve the application of this method.
When you will take the WHO approval for that?
That's what we have her here. She's the expert. She will bring us to those guys. And this could be very useful for those guys who suffer, war injuries, and those countries who are in pretty bad conflicts or wars or inner wars, whatever. So it could help those guys. Starting from that point of view, it could help, and then we can go from those no option to the rest of humanity.
How many patients you are treating?
With this method, these protocols,
Yes.
about a dozen of patients, and with using bioquantum for different, joint affections or rejuvenation purposes, or only to improve quality of life, a lot of them.
What's the cost? Lastly,
It's
the most
expensive.
important question.
It's expensive because it's personalized. I mean, it comes on. It's not the same about someone who would like to rather to prevent a disease than suffering cancer that her or his parents had in the past. Is different that those patients who are suffering different diseases like arthritis or sclerosis, or you name whatever you want. It comes on a different dose. But yes, I've been treating different patients with diabetes, type 1 or type 2. I mean, those who are using insulin, but they improved a lot that they stopped using the insulin. Obviously, the dose is different from each kind of patient. That's
Do you have
sure.
fixed ingredient composition of this treatment?
Sorry?
What's the ingredient?
Bioquantum.
It's a proprietary molecule.
It's a trademark. It's this molecule is once again isolated from the oozites of this product.
Okay, thank you.
There are a lot of questions. I guess.
Any other questions?
Professor Cranes wanted to ask something.
You didn't tell us about the side effects of these things,
I just
Or
I did.
are
I
there
mentioned,
any failures?
I mentioned the chills, the headache. Obviously, as it is percutaneous, I mean the local anesthesia and the local application of the catheter is may cause a little bit of pain, but that's what it is. I mean, no more than that. We haven't got any seizures, any intoxications, or any anaphylactic side effects. That's what we got so far. So not major side effects.
So it is a product of mRNA.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
Isolated from these frogs' oocytes. The isolated method is patented and it's owned by Biopark. They only know the formula and how to extract it. I mean, there could be a lot of different species that can regrow themselves, you know, salamanders and different amphibians. But the hardest part to get or to obtain this biopharmaceutical product is the process to obtain it. So it comes in a liquid form, and I think you saw when I was mixing it within the hum pump, right? I think you saw the video.
Yeah,
Okay.
liquid. Yeah.
And it could be diluted, and it will be as well doing its function.
But the thing is, this mRNA products get degraded very fast.
I know.
So you have preservatives added to it.
Yes, a specific temperature and a specific dose, and that's part of the product, which are designed by me.
So I think it will be difficult to commercialize because every time you have to extract and then you
Yeah,
know.
if we have enough money to do it, we will. And we will.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously this is
these
not going to be,
products,
we would like it,
biologics.
we would like it to be
Yes.
for everyone,
Mhm.
but so far it's for those who have the money to pay for it. Everything starts like that, I guess.
Great.
Sure.
Sure.
I mean, as it gets more commercialized globally, then the price
Yeah, definitely.
will go, yeah.
And the best way to do it is just to set up different factories around the world. That's
Sure.
the only way we can do it.
Sure.
Otherwise, it's going to be really hard for us just to, from Florida,
Right.
to export it to everywhere
Right.
according to the specifications they need for the temperature and everything.
Exactly. Yeah.
And also with the legislation, it will become more and more
Yeah.
available.
Available
And,
yeah. Yeah, certainly. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Because as protocols develop,
Oh, yeah.
We are not claiming
Sure.
to do something that is not possible. We're doing it according to everything we have in our hands, including the law, which is very important. We're creating this role model industry because that's the only way we can do it. Otherwise, I mean, you can talk about CRISPR-9, you can talk about gene editing and all that kind of stuff, but if there is no regulation for those things, it cannot be happening around the world. So we work together as a team to create this. Even though there is a small outcome, it's great. Not because we designed it, it's because we improve at least one patient's life totally 180 degrees. From having no option, he's walking on his knees. So I don't know if that could be having a specific value out there in the market, but so far, we're so happy to help him. That was our target, that was our goal, and we did it.
and also a time frame.
Yeah, we reduced the time frame from, I don't know if you guys heard about the Kentucky University patient who got a lot of external and internal stimulation items within the patient, with this patient, sorry, and it took them 44 months to get something similar to what we're getting to see in Omar in only 16, almost 17 months. Not even a year and a half has happened since he got his first application. So that's quite recent. So that's what brought a lot of attention from different guys, and that's why I am invited to different audiences and conferences.
You have to continuously treat the patient for 1 year or
Yeah, we have.
every day?
No, not really. That we started in that way. I mean, the first 6 months.
Okay.
Okay, for his body to be getting the stimulation, let's say in that way, of this mRNA product. Okay, he had to inject himself every single day. From after 6 months, on the second phase, it was only ambulatory. That's it, and just once every 3rd or 4 months, we're applying this. We have 7 applications so far.
Great, congratulations. Good work.
And we're also inviting everyone to join us for
lunch.
Join the doctor. We're also inviting everyone to join us in terms of developing new biomarkers in order to understand the complexity of the protein action that's been carried on there. So, but again, are there any other questions? Oh,
We all have a lot of doubts, don't worry.
Perhaps Ms. Ibarra would like to have her perspective, being the head of the International Commission for Human Rights.
We would be honored.
We would be honored, indeed. Would you like to share something in relation to that?
Just
Hold on.
a brief comment. It's human rights perspective. It's right to access to health. In 2001 in Mexico, we had a constitutional reform, which, the first articles in our constitution are human rights articles. But since the 2001 constitutional reform, all the international treaties that have to do with human rights have the same level as a constitution to us. So human rights are a very important topic that it's pursued in Mexico. It has high importance. And the cases they have, for example, Omar, who needs to have his treatment, it's right to access to health. So they're pursuing this. It's such an important topic that it has to be pursued in the Supreme Court. So they have a type of habeas corpus there and a constitutional controversy. I don't know if in common law they have something similar to that, because it's such a new topic that they still don't have legal certainty to which authority should know about this topic. So they're trailblazers. So first they have to, they're seeing it the jurisdictional way, and then they'll have to start seeing this in the legislative way. But they're trailblazing, so I'm sure they're going to do it in the right path, because it's all legal. It's just that people understand where to fit them legally and jurisdictionally.
Nobody gets into jail after eating caviar, right? Let's say we're doing it in a liquid form to be applied into patients. Obviously, it should be biosimilar and the pathways should be discovered. That's the only way we can do it, working together. Not claiming that we are the ones and we are the only ones. We're all the same, and that's why we like to invite professional scientists and well-known research people like you to be part of this amazing project that can help a lot of people. Even though that mRNA, yes, it's very, let's say, very tricky to handle.
Yes, very tricky.
Very tricky. Even though that, we're doing it, and we're doing it well.
Very good. Yeah, that's what's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, now and in some countries, it is in the between the lips of one person, just and he may say, "Get him in," and that's it. The next morning, it's everywhere. So, yeah, in some countries, it's just like that. Yeah. So, it obviously has a good chance as a phenomenon in so many countries at this moment, to get in and to fit in. Yeah, good chance. Yeah.
That's why we got the best team.
Yeah, of course.
You guys could be part of it too.
Yeah, sure.
Because we need you guys.
Sure, definitely. Well, on that front, legislative-wise, we do everything necessary to get the things, speed up in a practical way. Yeah, in certain countries, definitely, we'll do that.
Yes.
Certainly the academia will contribute.
Sure.
To establish.
Yeah. The reference is very important in something like this. The referential power. Referential power is the main point.
In order to justify.
Sure.
Yes.
Definitely.
Kill people like her, like my brother. like Alex.
Yeah,
Like
yes,
you guys.
yes, yeah, sure.
Not only the knowledge, but take it, I mean, from the knowledge to the practice. Because
Sure.
those patients are there.
Mhm.
And they're
Yeah.
desperate to get any kind of remedy. Obviously, a lot of, even the medical community is criticizing what we're doing.
Yeah, sure.
What a shame, right? Obviously, I mean, we're here just to improve humans' life. But we
Yeah.
forget about that we are also humans. I mean, doctors are humans too. So they may suffer
Sure.
something like,
Some of them.
well, we're mutants because that's what Professor Karina said. So I am a mutant too.
Yes, that's right.
So maybe because I'm a rebel, as Professor Karina just called me, we got into this point where this is let's say the head of the arrow, okay, where it's targeting something amazing for humanity itself.
Sure.
And obviously the Chinese are taking advantage on CRISPR and gene editing and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. And they're showing, I mean, there are different reports that are showing some deficiencies as well in their method. So far, this is what we can do. Because it's not only about become organic, I mean, eating only organic. It's not only about being a safer place where it's not that polluted.
Mhm. Sure.
Plenty of factors, but
Yeah.
we know we can get there.
Sure. Well, Marlon Brando was the rebel of Hollywood, so there you go. You know, he's a legend. He was a legend. So
Thank you.
yeah, sure.